How much music theory do you really need to know? The question is, when you're playing music as a guitarist or as a pianist or maybe you're a lead singer, for example, how much music theory do you really need to know in order to be able to reach your goals as a musician? Well, that really depends on a couple of things. The first thing is, what are your goals? Are you trying to play for yourself, alone in your house? Maybe for a couple of friends as they come over? Are you trying to play gigs with a band that you've been playing with for a while? Are you trying to play professionally? Um, Obviously these three situations are situations that are going to require a lot more effort or less effort, depending on what you really wish to get out of music. Um, so it really depends on what your goals are and what motivation you have to achieve those goals. The second thing, to talk about it a little bit more concretely, is what styles of music do you play? Right? Do you play rock? Do you play funk? Do you play blues? Do you play jazz? Do you play classical? Do you play bossa nova? So on and so forth. Depending on the style of music that you typically play, you may or may not need to know a lot of theory. If we've all heard the stories of the so-called three chord rock bands that only play power chords, and they make their entire careers out of playing quote unquote three chords. Is that enough for them? Probably. Do they have like a really deep understanding of music theory and harmony? Maybe not. Maybe they found something that worked and said, hey, let's commercialize this. I don't need to know anything more. I don't need to know what a diminished seven or chord is. So there certainly seems to be a difference in depending on the style of music that you're trying to play. How much theory is involved. If you play jazz or sometimes even funk, you use a lot of chord voicings or upper partials or things like that don't show up in certain styles of rock. I mean, even within rock itself, you have very complex rock like progressive rock, or like metal, and then you have the more like simple rock, like I guess you would call it like punk or grunge. It tends to be more harmonically simple. So it depends on what styles of music that you're playing, how much theory you'll need to know. Say for example, like they say Kurt Cobain didn't really know a whole lot of music theory, but obviously he was a great songwriter. So I want to talk a little bit more about my own personal experience in learning music theory and learning more about it. And I've been fortunate in the sense that music has never really been imposed upon me, or I never had to take lessons, at the recommendation of my parents or anything like that. It's always been something where I got to explore, at my own pace and on my own. And I found that in my musical experience over the years, I would only learn like new technique or new music theory or more advanced concepts only if it served to help me understand the music that I wanted to be playing. So, for example, when I first started, I wanted to play Nirvana, I wanted to play Soundgarden, I wanted to play all these. These are my like rock idols growing up at that time, and they still are. And so, I would learn. We had the guitar recorded versions of Nevermind, and me and my brother would like pick out, learn how to play like Come As You Are and read the tablature and go from there. Later in life, I started playing different styles of music. I started playing more blues. I started playing more funk. I started playing more jazz, and then all of a sudden, I hit these technical walls, both sometimes in terms of like physical technique on the guitar, but also in terms of like, I mean, it could be something simple like the types of chords that I would have to play or the types of voicings that I would have to use. and things got more complex. So then, I'd have to talk with friends that were, more experienced musicians, or read books or listen to, different styles of music that exemplify these more complex, harmonically complex structures, and then you learn. If it's something that catches your ear and that you're interested in. Even beyond that, I started to study classical music and play piano, and I found this crazily amazing enrichment because some of the harmonic structures that are used in these are completely they don't exist. The types of voicings or overtones, they don't exist in jazz. They don't exist in rock or blues or funk, and it's really like stretched my brain and caused me to take lessons from more experienced musicians that have more formal credentials or more experience performing those styles of music. I reached these goals. I said, hey, I want to play you know 90s grunge. So then you study the technique, and then you spend hours practicing, and then you say, okay, well, this isn't enough. Now I want to learn how to play blues rock, and I want to learn to play Led Zeppelin. Okay, well, now you need to learn how to solo and wail and do all these sorts of things, and they use some interesting voicings. And then you say, okay, maybe I want to learn some West Montgomery, and it's okay, you have to learn a bunch of new chord voicings and a bunch of new scales. And you say, oh, I want to learn to play like Chopin, and it's like, wow, like your mind just explodes, and you're like, wow, how did you even come up with these ways of harmonizing? It's just things that I would have never thought of, given what I've been previously exposed to. So it grows and changes as you get more experience, and it depends on really like what styles of music that you choose to explore. There's no like indefinite goal. There's no, in my opinion, there's no like oh, jazz is the purest form of music, it's the best, and you have to, if you're a musician, you have to learn jazz. No, there's all this like pompous whatnot that's completely unnecessary, and it really just depends on what styles of music you play, what are your goals, and what you seek to get out of it. If you know enough to reach your goals, then you're good. Or even sometimes you could even learn to play something technically and not have no understanding of the theory behind it. I mean, I'm actually experiencing this because I have to ask my piano teacher, oh, okay, here's these measures of Chopin, and they're like, it's like, okay, what does this mean? How do you come up with this? How do you understand the harmony? Like, what are these chords underlyingly? Are they, what inversions are they? How come you can use these tones and these substitutions? Like, why are they doing that? So you can learn the technique without actually understanding how it was written, and that's fine. But if you want to learn, the composition itself and the underlying theory behind it, then you can certainly learn that. It really just depends on what your goals are, what styles of music that you play, how much technique, physical technique you need, and does it make you happy? Does your level of understanding suit you? So, really depends. And what do you think does it for you? How much theory do you think you need to learn for the styles of music that you're playing? Or maybe you don't think theory is very important at all. Anyway, let me know what you think, and then I'll catch you guys soon for another video. Thanks.